The Coastal Protector. Accessible audio edition. The story is written by Shoora Shaheed Ahmed, aged 10, at Aminiya School in the Maldives. Winner of the 2026 Young Mathematical Story Authors Competition's Stuart J. Murphy Award for students aged 8 to 11 years old. Front cover. Illustration description. Kaina, a young Maldivian girl wearing a long purple dress and matching headscarf, stands on a green island beside the beach. Young mangrove plants grow along the shoreline. Behind her are the sea, a setting sun, palm trees, and a small island house. A banner above her reads, "The Coastal Protector." The cover also refers to United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 14, Target 14.2. End of front cover illustration description. Page 1. Page illustration description. At the top of the page is a peaceful island shoreline with calm blue water, palm trees, other leafy trees, and a small house. A bird flies overhead. Below, Kaina stands on the beach, wearing a pink dress and yellow headscarf. She is surrounded by 2 red crabs and a sandcastle. The water has come very close to her sandcastle. End of page illustration description. Kaina lived on a tiny island in the Maldives, and the beach was her favorite place. She loved playing there, building sandcastles and splashing in the water. But something weird was happening. Every month, the beach seemed to get smaller and smaller. The waves were getting closer to the trees, and Kaina was getting worried. It was like the ocean was trying to take over her playground. Worried about the future, she decides to use mathematics to understand the problem. Page 2. Page illustration description. The page is entitled Measuring the Beach Width Over Time. 3 illustrations show Kaina using a measuring tape to measure the width of the raised sandbank from the water's edge to the higher part of the beach during 3 successive months. In month 1, the width is 20 meters. In month 2, it is 18 meters. In month 3, it is 16 meters. The shoreline moves closer to the trees each month. At the bottom is a table entitled Kaina's Measurements. It has 3 columns: month, width of raised sandbank, and change from the previous month. The first row records month 1, 20 meters, with no previous measurement for comparison. The second row records month 2, 18 meters, which is 2 meters smaller than the previous month. The third row records month 3, 16 meters, which is also 2 meters smaller than the previous month. End of page. Illustration description. Armed with a measuring tape, a notebook, and a determination that belied her years, Kaina began her project. Every month, she measured the width of the beach, recording her findings in a neat table. Each month, the width of the beach became smaller. Kaina's measurements showed that the beach was shrinking. Page 3. Page illustration description. In the upper half of the page illustration, Kaina sits at a table beside the beach, studying her notebook. The notebook contains 4 monthly measurements: January, 20 meters; February, 18 meters; March, 16 meters; and April, 14 meters. She realizes that she can use a bar chart to show how the beach is becoming smaller. In the lower half of the page illustration, she kneels beside an easel and colors 4 bars on a chart entitled Erosion of the Beach. The horizontal axis shows the months from January to April. The vertical axis shows the width of the raised sandbank in meters. Each successive bar is 2 meters shorter than the previous one. A red crab watches nearby. End of page illustration description. Kaina looked back at her measurements. Now it was time to use the data to show what was happening to the beach. I can use a bar chart to show how the beach is becoming smaller. Creating a bar chart. First, I'll write a title. Then I'll label axes. Next, I'll draw bars for each month's width. Page 4. Page illustration description. Kaina stands before a large gathering of island elders and other members of the community. She points to her colorful bar chart, entitled Erosion of the Beach, which shows the beach becoming narrower from January to April. The adults listen closely. Some look surprised or worried. Palm trees, mangroves and island houses appear in the background. End of page illustration description. When Kaina figured out what her math meant, it felt really heavy inside her chest. She knew she couldn't just keep it a secret. So, she took a deep breath and made a little presentation. When she stood in front of the elders of the community, she looked tiny compared to all the grown-ups, but she spoke clearly anyway. She showed them her graphs and her numbers, and they could all see how the beach was in danger. Her pictures and math made it easy to understand that their island needed help. At first, the elders didn't really believe her. Then they started to look worried. But Kaina didn't give up. She showed them her charts and explained everything in simple words, and they finally understood. Her excitement and the way she explained the problem made them take her seriously. Page 5. Page illustration description. Kaina and members of the community work together beside the beach. Some plant young mangrove trees in the sand, while others build a protective wall from large rocks. Adults and children take part. The mangrove's long roots spread through the sand, and several newly planted mangroves line the shoreline. Palm trees, leafy trees, and a small house stand behind them. End of page illustration description. Soon, everyone in the community decided to help. They put their money and tools together and started building walls to protect the beach. They also planted mangroves, those tough trees with twisty roots to hold the sand in place and slow the erosion. Page 6. Page illustration description. Many years later, an older Kaina stands on the same green island beside the beach, wearing a long purple dress and matching headscarf. She looks towards the sea as the setting sun fills the sky with shades of orange, gold, pink, and purple. Mangroves now grow thickly along the protected shoreline. Palm trees and a small island house stand behind her. End of page illustration description. Many years later, Kaina stood on the beach and watched the sunset turn the sky orange and gold. The beach wasn't as big as before, but it was still there, protected by the walls and the mangroves everyone had planted. She felt proud. The beach had survived because she had been brave enough to speak up, and because her whole community worked together. Her numbers and graphs had told a scary story, but in the end, it was a story of hope. The end. This is the story of Kaina, a girl who loves her island beach more than anything. When she sees the beach getting smaller, she uses math to figure out what's happening. Her graphs show scary results, so she tells the island elders, even though she's nervous. Because of her, the whole community works together to save the beach by building barriers and planting mangroves. Years later, Kaina sees the beach still there, and she knows that her courage and everyone's teamwork made a big difference. My name is Shoora Shaheed Ahmed, and I am 10 years old. I study at Aminiya School in the Maldives, which is in the Indian Ocean, and I love going to the beach with my family every Friday. When I grow up, I want to become a marine biologist because I want to help protect the environment and the ocean. I was inspired to write The Coastal Protector after seeing coastal erosion on some of the islands I have visited. Through my story, I hope to help other young children learn more about coastal erosion and why it is important to protect our islands and environment. Creating this mathematical story picture book helped me enjoy learning maths more and helped me understand maths topics like measurement and data handling better because I could visualize the maths more clearly on paper through my drawings and story. It also helped me connect maths to real-life situations, and I was able to use this task to learn about United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, for the first time. My story is related to Target 14.2, which is about protecting coastal ecosystems to avoid significant negative impacts. To all maths teachers, please let your students create mathematical story picture books as part of your maths lessons.